She's released 14 albums, raised 4 daughters, and somehow figured out how to make it work between the two. For years, she gave her music career exactly 30 minutes a day. That's it. And she never missed a deadline. Today, she's telling us how she held her own identity in the middle of motherhood, what it cost her, and what she would say to a woman who feels like she has to disappear into her kids to be a good mom. This is the final episode in our series, How to Stop Living with Your Kids and Start Living Your Own Life. And we're closing it out with someone who's actually lived it. Welcome to Create Your Best Empty Nest. Here's a quick heads up. This is part one of a two-part conversation with my friend and neighbor, Hilary Weeks. We'll get to know her a little bit, her first 3 words, a fun truth and a lie, her family's motto, and don't let that fool you. This episode goes deep, fast, because Hilary didn't just keep a hobby alive on the side while she raised her girls. She built a real career, 14 albums, decades of music, and she's about to tell us exactly how she made room for both without losing either one. Okay, welcome, Hilary. We're so happy to have you here. And this is our 4th and final of our series, How to Stop Living with Your Kids and Start Living Your Own Life. And this is a fun capstone for this series because Hilary has lived a musical career I'm so excited to hear more about, and being a wonderful mother at the same time, and also as an empty nester. So this is a great capstone. So thank you so much for being here with us, Hilary.
Thanks. I'm excited.
Hilary and I are neighbors. I have been listening to her music for many, many years. And I remember when she first moved here, it was kind of like celebrity in the knit. And I remember at the local grocery store, we were just chatting over the produce. And I thought, oh, she's a normal person just like me. So I love it. You guys will love her. She's just normal and fun and very, very talented. So it will be fun to hear her insights today. You guys definitely have a treat in store for you. So let's just go ahead and help the audience get to know you a little bit. So you've had this whole other life running alongside motherhood, right? Your music. Tell us a little about who you are, both as a mom and a songwriter.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Hilary, as Marianne stated. I am married to Tim, and we've been married for 34 years. We have 4 daughters. 3 of the daughters are married, and we have 5 grandchildren with a 6th on the way in November. And we have the 5 grandkids. 1 is a boy, 4 are girls, and we have another girl on the way. So
Oh,
we only know how to do girls.
there's the one boy amongst all those daughters and granddaughters.
Yeah. Yeah, we've brought more boys in via marriage, which has been
Yes.
awesome. I love my sons-in-law so much. And I love to exercise, although I'm not as dedicated as I probably should be, but I love to exercise. I love to be outside. I love gathering women. I gather women all of the time. I create my own events and just invite friends. And I typically recently have been inviting my friend to invite a friend. So then I get to know new people that way too. That's really fun. I like to travel. Tim and I love doing some travel, which we can do more now that we're empty nesters. And I, like Marianne said, have had a beautiful career in music, which has evolved, especially as music has changed. We don't sell CDs anymore. Everything is streamed and everything is given away for free in the music world. And nowadays, the artists hit the road. They travel, they do concerts, and they merchandise. And that's how the music world has evolved. And I am 56 years old. I don't want to hit the road. I want to stay home and be a grandma and do all the things that I enjoy from home. So, any concerts or performances that I do, first of all, I have to really want to do them. They have to really appeal to me because I don't feel the need anymore to do it just because I'm trying to forward the music. I can be picky and choosy about it, which is a real blessing. It's really fun. And then, secondly, it needs to be like just a little bit more close to home. I don't want to travel too much anymore. I spent years and years traveling, especially on the weekends when my kids were little. And I'm happy just to be home now. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it. Your travel is just with Tim when you want to go, where you want to go for fun, right?
That's right.
So tell us now, give us 3 words that describe you, Hilary.
I love this question. I was like, oh, goody. What years ago? I would bet you this was probably 20 years ago. I decided to pick 5 words and repeat them to myself all throughout the day. If I was vacuuming, I would say these 5 words. If I was folding the laundry, whatever I was doing, whenever it popped into my head, I would repeat these 5 words. And they are, I am a beautiful, healthy, capable, dynamic, courageous daughter of God. And I chose those 5 words not because that's actually how I felt about myself, but because I wanted to feel that way about myself. And I didn't at the time. I was
Mm,
struggling to feel beautiful. I was struggling to feel capable. I didn't feel like I was courageous. And so I just started telling myself that I was. And I have repeated that phrase to myself countless times, thousands of times.
I love it.
And I have come to believe that about myself. And the fun part about it is it's become my mantra, but I've also added on to it throughout the years. And now it's like a paragraph. And I can repeat it to myself whenever I need to pick me up or whenever I need to feel connected to God because I feel like He helped me create it. So
Yes.
I come into that with Him and He helps remind me and reassure me and validate that those things are true. So now that's just where it started. And now it's like a paragraph.
I love that. I love the word becoming. And when you put those words into that sentence that you've been saying to yourself, it helps you become what you want. It helps you have that vision of becoming. And you have become those things. I love that. Awesome. Okay. Now tell us 2 truths and a lie.
Okay. I had to write this down so I could,
Have a
be
guess.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Here is the first one for you to decide whether it is a truth or a lie. I caught an 80 pound king salmon.
You are from Alaska.
I
So,
from Alaska.
okay, keep going.
Okay. The second one. One year, I traveled to Paris 3 times. 3 times in
What?
1 year. Yeah.
Mm, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of that Eiffel Tower.
It is. And then the third one is I own a bus, a big bus that we can drive everyone around in, my family, my grandkids. So that's up to you to decide which one is not true.
Okay, others can guess, but I do know that number 3 is correct because I have seen that big fun bus and I envy it. I love that about you. But I'm not
It's really
sure if
fun.
salmon get 80 pounds. Is that possible? I'm guessing that one's the
Do you
lie.
want me to reveal the other one or no? Is
Yeah,
this a
go ahead and
secret?
reveal it for us.
There are 80-pound king salmon, and I
Really?
did indeed catch one in
Wow.
Alaska in the Kenai River. The world record king salmon, also caught in the Kenai River in Alaska, was 92 pounds.
Oh,
So I was
really?
only off by 12 pounds.
Wow.
And I've never been to Paris.
Oh,
I've
never.
never.
Not especially not 3 times in 1 year. That's funny. Yeah, well, my husband's headed to Alaska to catch some big salmon and halibut this in a few weeks.
Oh, good for him. I hope it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, he'll love it. All right. Well, thank you. That's fun. What's one movie you could watch over and over that you'll never get tired of?
Okay, I'm going to answer this in two part. One
Okay.
is my favorite movie of all time, which is The Man from Snowy River. I love the storyline, and of course, being a musician, I love the music.
Yes, I love the music too.
The scenery is beautiful. But a movie that I can watch, and I have watched over and over and over, is Sabrina. And it stars Harrison Ford and is it Julia Armand? No. Is that who it is?
I don't know. I'm
Julia
not really good
Armand.
at at movie stars, but I do love that movie. I know exactly who you're talking
Yeah.
about.
That's the one. I love it. It's a comfort movie for me. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
that is a classic. I love that one too. How fun. We need to get together and have some popcorn and watch that movie.
Okay.
All right. Now tell me one piece of wisdom that has stayed with you, that the kind that you find yourself coming back to again and again.
This is super easy. Our family has a motto, and it is don't worry about what others think of you, worry about what they think of themselves when they're with you.
Oh, I got chills. I love that. Tell me more about that.
When I was about 25 years old in our church congregation, I was working with young women, ages 12 to 18. I wasn't that much older than them. I was
Yeah.
only like, 6 years older. And we went to an activity night that I had planned that turned out to be a big flop. Nobody liked it. And what made it worse was I felt like these hip, cool young women were looking at me, treating me like I was an ancient dinosaur already. And I wasn't even that much older than them. And the whole night felt like a flop. And as I was driving home, I started to cry and I had this little private pity party in my car. And then the Spirit of God spoke to me and said, "Don't worry about what others think of you. Worry about what they think of themselves when they're with you." And
Mm,
I had been doing the opposite that whole evening.
yeah.
I was focused on myself. I hadn't been focused on them. Had I complimented anyone? Had I taken time to ask them about their day? No, I was just worried about myself. And that changed my whole perspective on life and on being around others. I tend to be a little bit more of an introvert. I have to work at being comfortable in group settings. And when I remind myself of that phrase, when I enter a group setting, it takes the pressure off. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about what I look like or what I say or what I'm wearing. I'm focused on who needs me, who needs a compliment, who needs a friend. And it's been really helpful for our daughters to be raised with that
Mm.
truth as well.
Yeah, I love that. And you do such a good job of that. And I remember one of your daughters, Meg, at the high school. I was at a football game once, and I saw her go up to this person that was all alone and bring him into the group, and they felt amazing with her around her. So you definitely taught your kids. That's awesome. I love that. Thank you. That's a great motto to live by, and you guys have done a good job with that. Okay, now we're going to get on to the core series questions. So tell us a little bit about your life as a mom who is actively building a music career. What did that actually look like day to day?
I bet a lot of moms can relate to the frustration of trying to pursue something that you're interested in, whether it's a hobby or something that brings in an income. When you have little kids and you're trying to find the time to be able to do those things,
Yeah,
how do you balance bedtime and sports and school and homework and things that you need to do around the house with the things that you want to get done and that you need to get done outside of motherhood? And I think a lot of us struggle with giving it all up. I guess I don't get to quilt anymore, or
yeah,
I guess I don't get to garden like I wanted to, whatever fill in the blank, because we make our family our priority. And I think that's awesome. That's exactly what we should be doing. And that's exactly what I was trying to do. And yet there's this yearning within us to want to contribute, to use our gifts and talents. And so when I was writing music, I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer songwriter, and I've released 14 albums. And I worked through a publisher, and we would decide on a deadline, a release date for an album. And it would usually give me about a year to write enough songs for an album. And so the question became, how do I balance family life with work life?
yeah,
And what I decided was to dedicate 30 minutes a day to songwriting. That's it. That's all I had. And sometimes it was broken up into two chunks of 15 minutes, depending on what the needs of the family were that day. And for me, half an hour was not a lot of time. I would rather sit down and write for a couple of hours and really get into the groove and be in the moment and stay there as long as I could.
yeah, definitely.
But that's not how it works when you have other people depending on you. So I gave 30 minutes a day and I was very religious about it. Sometimes that 30 minutes would just be me sitting at the piano, hoping an idea would come. And after the 30 minutes was over, I'd walk away and I hadn't made any progress. Sometimes I would come up with a title during that time. Sometimes I would write a half of a song. I didn't know what I was going to get, but I would never know if I didn't put in the time to find out. And so I didn't get frustrated when I couldn't make progress during that 30 minutes, I just kept at it. And it was amazing because every single time God took the 30 minutes, and just like the loaves and the fishes, when he needed to feed the 5,000, he magnified and he multiplied
Mm.
those minutes, and they
Yes.
became enough. They became enough, and I had enough music, and it always happened. I always hit the deadline, never once had to push it back. And I believe that is true for all of us, that concept, that principle. If we'll give it to God, he can magnify and multiply any of our offerings to make them enough. And when we team up with him, our capacity expands. So that is how I was able to balance work life with mom life.
I love that. Magnify and multiply. But what I also love is the two things. You were intentional about it and you were consistent. And 30 minutes a day just feels like nothing. Like if you feel like you're trying to do some dream or some goal and you think, if I can give 30 minutes a day, you would never think you could make albums. 14 albums, you said, right? But I love that. And it's inspiring for the women listening that it really, you can do it as you're intentional about what you want to create and that co-creating with God, like you talked about, he'll magnify and multiply your efforts, but also that you're consistent. You just show up every single day. And even when you're like sat at the piano and just, but you're like the next day, and then some days it just all came. I love that. Thank you. That's a fun to hear about that. Okay. So you didn't just keep a hobby alive on the side, like you were saying. You built a real career, decades of albums, chart topping records, a body of work most artists would dream of. So, what made you keep choosing that year after year while you were also raising your four daughters?
The purpose behind it. Of course, I'm drawn to music and I love writing. I've always been drawn to writing music about faith, about the Savior, about life principles, about things that are good, things that are uplifting, things that can be the backdrop of our lives, both the kind that's inspirational, fun to listen to, but also the kind that speaks to our hearts. And on every one of my CDs, my albums, whatever you want to call those nowadays, there's always music that reaches us in those places when we want to give up, when it feels dark, when we are not sure if we're being heard by God. And as I go to the grocery store or restaurants and I get stopped by people who've enjoyed the music, there is a phrase that surfaces over and over again. And it is, your music got me through my darkest hour. I
Mm.
have heard that phrase over and over again. And Marianne, that is why I kept choosing music because
Yes.
I knew it was needed and I knew it made a difference.
And it definitely has. I love the word you said, uplifting, because that is a word to describe your music. Very uplifting. Okay, with four daughters and a career that had you traveling and recording, how did you deal with the moments, if there were any, where you felt torn between the two? I'm sure there
Oh,
were some.
yes. I have so many memories of, I usually left on the weekend. So I would leave Friday, come back Sunday. And I have memories of driving home to my house. I was just out running errands on a Friday and someone's out mowing their lawn. And I look at them and think, oh, I wish I was staying home and doing yard work this weekend.
Oh,
I
wow.
wish I wasn't traveling. I
Mm,
wish I didn't have to leave. I don't want to go. But at the same time, I loved it, so don't get me wrong, it wasn't
yes.
misery. It's
Hmm.
just getting myself there,
Yes.
getting myself packed, getting myself on a plane. The other interesting thing about my music career is I don't crave center stage. I don't crave the attention. So that
Mm.
makes it even harder to want to
Yeah.
leave when you're about to go do something that I used to have a lot of fear about getting on stage. So not only was I leaving my family and all the fun that they were going to do over the weekend, I was stepping into all of my fear by
Mm.
leaving. And it was not easy, but again, the purpose drove me to do it because I knew that it mattered. We always sat down with our daughters at the beginning of my travel season and told them what the travel could potentially look like and got their buy in and made sure that they were okay with me being gone that much. And that was always really helpful to counsel with them about that. In addition, we set rules about how many things I could commit to in a month and how many of them could be out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And once I met that limit, it was easy to say no to people who invited me to come do something because I'd already reached that limit. And Stephen Covey said it's easy to say no when there's a deeper yes burning inside. That's what would happen. I could say no, not because I didn't want to do the event or didn't want to help with their program, but because the deeper yes was my family. And
Mm-hmm.
I would regret not being there if I always chose music. So while it's a balancing act, it is one that we were able to manage for the most part. There were times when it swung out of balance, but for the most part, we managed it well because we had buy in as a family. We had decided to support one another and I had a limit on how many we could do.
Yeah. I love that to realize that being torn between different things is normal. And so it's like you were torn between your family and your music, but the women listening, you're going to be torn between your grandkids and pursuing what you want or travel or whatever it is. I'm always torn between do I go hiking or do I play pickleball, right? You're always torn between something, but you were intentional about it. You created the boundaries, you decided what you were going to do. And I also thought it was interesting that you said it was a lot of fear for you to get on stage. I wouldn't have guessed that about you, Hillary. But episode 30 just came out. It's how to feel your feelings. And there's nothing wrong with negative emotion. And some people would categorize fear as negative emotion, but negative emotion really is the currency for achieving your dreams. So I love that you felt that you were fearful, but you still, that was your currency and it helped you to achieve your dreams. And when you feel those things, it helps you. It's part of it, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. That's so interesting. Thank you. What did having your own thing, your own identity outside of mom give you that you think you would have lost otherwise?
I think one of the number one things that I was rewarded with was connection with other women
Mm.
and traveling all over the United States and internationally as well to groups of 1,000 to a couple of thousand women each time over 17 years. I have been around a lot of women and I loved the connection. And I have found that we all have a lot in common. We have more in common than we don't.
Yes,
And we're
definitely.
all striving to be good and add to the world and contribute. And I loved the advice that women would share as we spoke in between performances and as we connected. So that was one of my paydays was being able to rub shoulders with other beautiful, lovely, delightful women.
Yeah. And like you said, your music really speaks to the heart and gathering the women. And I love how you're still doing that now. That's so important. Women need gathering. A lot of people have commented, we need retirement parties or we need to throw each other becoming an empty nester parties or things like that. And I'm like, yeah, women want to gather. You want to support one another. So I love that you're still doing that. Okay, now that your kids are grown, what's changed, even with a career of your own? Is there of them leaving adjustment that you didn't expect, becoming that empty nester?
I tell people that with having 4 daughters, I've raised my best friends. So now they truly are my best friends. So they're still our go-to and we love their husbands. So that's who we spend time with. When we are going to plan a dinner or a game night, we call our kids. And it's really fun to have those kinds of relationships with them. Sometimes I think I need to branch out more and make sure that I invite people that are our age to do things too and not lose connection that way. But I am realizing that they still need advice from mom and dad. And I'm learning how to give it when it's asked for and not
Mm.
impose when they
Yes,
don't
that's important.
want it and to let them do things their own way. 2 of my daughters are moms, and a third daughter is about to become a mom. And it's really fun to watch them mother, and they do it differently than I did. And it's so fun to watch how they do it.
Yeah. And I love that you guys get to have your big bus so you can go do fun things together.
We do.
All right. What does life look like now as an empty nester that's different from the years when you were trying to do both at once?
I'm not going to lie. I love the freedom. I love the extra time. My schedule isn't determined by the school year. I love all that. So that looks different just because I'm not trying to get kids off to school each day and balancing when they come home and when they have sports and dinner has to be on the table at a certain time, that kind of thing. So I love the extra time.
Yeah. I love that. I think a lot of women, they worry about the empty calendar or the quiet house. And at first, that is an adjustment, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
But as you get used to it and then you realize, oh, this is a lot of freedom, there's a lot of hope in it. I try to teach women that the best is yet to come. You're going to be able to create whatever you want in this second act in life. And just that adjustment is tricky for a lot of women. So I like to hear that the best can be yet to come.
Yeah.
All right. What would you say to women listening who feels like she has to disappear into her kids in order to be a good mom? And what would you say to the woman who already has her own thing like you did, but still feels that empty nest ache anyways?
I remember when my second daughter, her name is Callie, she was probably about 9 years old. And of course, this is in the height of my traveling and being gone and things like that. We went on a mother daughter date and we went to dinner and we were sitting there talking over dinner. She was eating her mac and cheese and she was telling me about her day at school. They had been playing freeze tag at recess, and she was giggling about freeze tag, and the macaroni and cheese was squishing out through her teeth. It was just like this memory in my mind of the joy as she's telling me about this experience at school. And all of a sudden, the spirit spoke to me and taught me something that was so important. And I think it's important for moms and grandmothers as we move into that stage, or teachers, or people who work or are around children, maybe a nurse. I thought this was really profound. And it was the concept that we will spend eternity knowing these children as adults. And our time with them as children is finite, it's limited. They will grow up. They will, in just only a few years, they will change and become adults. And that's how we will know them forever. And so that time with them as children is just so precious and meaningful and valuable. So if a mom wants to throw herself into her kids, yes, do it. You mom how you want to mom and love those kids, and you grandma how you want to grandma, and love them and be with them as much as you want. And I just don't think there's a thing wrong with that because it is such a precious time of life.
I remember I was sitting on the church pew with my 4 kids wrestling each other and all over the place. And at the end of it, I was sweating and I was just like, I felt like I had been in a wrestling match. And the lady behind me was like, just enjoy it. Those days go so fast. And I kind of wanted to turn around and punch her.
I know.
Did you just experience? But she was right. It does go so fast. And that empty nest becomes empty very quickly. And they are adults at that point. That's a good advice for especially those who are mother. And I loved how you said mom the way you want a mom. So a lot of women have given themselves to their families and to try to get that muscle back about what they want, what they desire now as an empty nester. It does take some time and some tools and some guidance. And so that's what we do in my program. So tell me, is there anything that you want to leave listeners with before we close out? And what would you say to the woman who feels like her best years are behind her now that her kids are gone? Let's ask those together.
I don't know that they're really ever gone. I mean, we still see our kids a lot. Maybe it's different if they were living somewhere else. We are lucky that they live close by. But even if they didn't, there's beautiful ways to interact with your kids and so much technology that makes it possible. And so I would find new ways of interacting and adapting and adjusting. Not all of them work. I tried an experiment last year or earlier this year where we planned to get on a Zoom call with our adult children and their spouses once a month. And we would just assign a person to talk about a topic. And nobody liked it. And so we gave it up after 7 months.
Uh-huh.
But at least we tried. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, that doesn't work. What can work? And so just finding new ways of interacting and adapting because it's not lost, it's not gone, it's just new.
It's just new. What are some of your favorite new ways?
Oh, we love to get together for dinner. That's not new or anything or like earth shattering, but we love to get together for rides in the Mubba bus. That's what we call the bus. My grandma name is, so we
Bubba.
call it the Mubba bus. We pick up the kids and go get snow cones or donuts, or we ride and see the Christmas lights. So that's been a creative way to get together. We get together for game nights. It's just all of the typical things. I don't know that we have anything that's any different than any other family is doing, but it's working.
I love that. It's working, and it's small and simple things. Okay, and where can people find you if they want to hear more of what they've had today?
I am on Instagram, Hilary Weeks Music, and Facebook and YouTube. If you want to listen to any music, that's Hilary Weeks on YouTube. And then also there's hilaryweeks.com if you want to check out any of the music. I also have kits. They are called Good for the Soul Gathering Kits. And it provides a way for women to gather. And it's all right there in the kit. There's a hands on project, music from me, a message from me that you access from a QR code, and you can do it right there in your home solo, or you can invite friends over and do it together. So that's one of the fun things that I'm working on right now.
Oh, I love that. Good for the soul gathering kits. Very good. Hilary, you are a joy. You're an inspiration. And I love how you've lived your life with purpose and consistency and intention. And you're a good example of co creating with God on what God wants you to create. So thank you so much for being here today. It's been a joy.
Thank you.
If you needed permission to want something for yourself while you're still deep in motherhood and after the kids leave as well, I hope this conversation just gave it to you. Hilary didn't wait until her kids were grown to have her own thing. She built in 30 minutes at a time, right in the middle of bedtime and homework and everything else. And next episode, we get to know her even more. Her favorite word, the 4-minute tool that's kept her marriage strong for 30 years, and why her grandkids call her Mubba. We'll also get even deeper into the face side of all of this, what she says the adversary tries to whisper when you're doing something that matters, and what's still ahead for her. This is the final series of how to stop living with your kids and start living your own life. So come back for part 2 next week. It's a good one to end on.
If this felt familiar, you're not alone. I created a short quiz, Who Am I, after the kids leave. It helps you name what actually is going on for you in this season and what you might need next. You'll find the link in the description. And if you want more conversations like this, you could subscribe. I'm here every week.